Hello everybody, and welcome back to a quick little video on basic machines. I've been trying to come up with a system that would produce a high volume of resources, a good amount of resources with the sort of minimum amount of power generation, minimum amount of external power sources in order to, generate as nearly a continuous stream of resources as you can in this. This is the Basic Machines mod pack by iEmotionless. So this is what I've come up with, and it actually works really well. I'm using the steam engine condenser feedback loop. So here's your steam engine, steam generator, and here's the condenser. Now, when the steam generator produces a pulse of power, it also produces a little bit of steam. That steam goes back through the gas pipe here, goes into the condenser. The condenser recondenses that down into water and puts it back into the steam engine. Now, the advantage of this system is, as you can see, it's self-perpetuating. It will, once you prime it, and you just basically prime it by putting a tank here. Make sure you have your gas pipe up here first. Put a tank here where this middle one is. Dump a bucket of water in your tank, and then take the tank out and put your gas pipe right here. And once you do that, you don't have to mess with it again. Now, the first iteration of this, I had them all lined up, and all the gas pipes were connected, and I was getting water loss in the system. And I think that's because the gas pipes were connected together between multiple machines. That seems to be a problem. It doesn't seem like that's a good way to do this. I think these little feedback loops have to be separate. They have to be their own individual. That's why I've got them set up like this. And do you like my skin? I stole that from the SCP marketplace map. What I did is I separated all of these out. I tried different sets of these, and 3 seems to be the ideal number here. And I've got them going into all 3 sides of the quantum miner here. Now, I only had them going into the front here the first time around, but it actually works better if you just have each bank of steam generators going into a different side here. It actually produces a much higher set of it produces a more continuous stream of resources that way. For some reason, and I'm not exactly sure why it is, the 3 inputs work better than the single inputs, although they're all 3 of them are feeding into the single input. It seems to work better with the 3 than it does with the 1. I think we may be losing a little bit when it's all going into 1 input. I don't know that for sure, but it seems like this is running at a much higher rate with 3 inputs than it did with a single input. Now, for this guy, this is the furnace. I've got a separate setup on him, and I've got 2 of them going. 2 seems to be about right. You might be able to get away with 1, though, because I actually am, as you can see, I'm not really utilizing all of the power here. But I did have it set up with 1 at first, and it wasn't really keeping up. So I went ahead and added a second one in there, and then the second one's kind of overkill. But the single bank here doesn't seem to keep up. So I just threw a battery in there to store that power intermittently so that it always will, whenever this thing triggers, it will always have power to do its thing. So as you can see by just watching it, it's working almost continuously here. I think it's working at pretty much the tick rate of the machines themselves, because it's almost a continuous stream of of resources being generated here. And as you can see, we're getting a decent amount here. This is probably, I don't know, 10 minutes worth of resources maybe. Yeah, something like that. So not bad. We're generating a pretty decent amount of resources. And if you just eyeball it, it seems like we're producing a continuous stream of resources out of the system. So obviously you could duplicate this, go up or across or whatever. The reason I got them stacked up like this in the air, I was trying to reduce the footprint of this particular system, but I had to keep them separate. So it's kind of this square here. I don't know really a way of if I put this maybe on top of this and ran the line down, it might work. But this isn't too bad. I mean, it's a nice square. You could really sort of tile this in a checkerboard fashion, because you could take this setup and squeeze it in here with the chest being like right here, for example. This is where your double chest is, and then you're going out this way. You could probably do it like that, and then the same way here, going with your chest this way, and then your setup going back this way. And then over here you could do the same thing. So yeah, you could pack this in quite a bit, I think, into an area if you wanted to really need to produce a ton of resources. But I think this is, I don't know that you could do much better on this. I'm not saying you can't do much better on this, but this thing is running almost continuously. You notice there are some little pauses, but I think that's just the tick rate of the machines themselves. I don't know that you can really do much better than this. But anyways, I just want to let you take a look at it. It's yeah, it seems to be working really well. And I don't have the water loss problem when they're just a single bank like that. So I think that's the key. I don't think you can hook these gas pipes up together consistently. I think there's maybe a bug or just the way it works, whatever. I think you end up losing your water. So keeping them separate is definitely the key. And again, it seems like 3 banks for the quantum miner and 2 for the furnace seem to be the ideal amounts to generate a pretty steady stream of resources here. So I just wanted to give you guys a little peek at this and what I've been messing around with. I was looking at, the reason I came up with this is I was looking at a way to kind of increase my resources on the Sky Factory series that I'm doing, and so I've been experimenting with this basic machines and trying to figure out a good way of doing it. And I think this is it. I think it really seems to be working pretty well. So I just wanted to kind of give you guys a gander on it and let you take a look at it. So I appreciate it. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye now.